Hello,
Hello,
and welcome to another episode of
the Super Data Brothers Super Show.
That's right. I am Ryan.
And I am Eric.
And we are two real-life brothers who work in the data and analytics industry. And have we got a good one today for you folks?
You know, Ryan, I'm so excited for today's show because we're talking about data clickbait, which is basically like half of your job, right, Ryan?
Yeah. Yes.
So, we're talking to Joe Reis. He's been embedded in this LinkedIn scene for a while, so he knows all about data clickbait, and he's here to talk about it with us, and we're here to talk about it with him.
That's right. We're going deep into the dark underbelly of the data influencer game with Joe. Maybe this will be a tell-all. We'll see. In the pre-show, we were just about to launch into a long conversation, I think, about drones in New Jersey. So maybe this will turn into like drone chat. We'll see.
Yeah.
But we're excited to have Joe on. Now, folks, if this is your first time joining us, this is a live show. So that means that it's more fun for you and it's more fun for us and Joe if you get your live comments and reactions and questions into the chat. We will read them out. If you have a question for Joe, you ask us, we'll ask Joe. That's how it works. Also, we'll give you a shout out if you let us know where you're watching from. I can see we've got Scott Taylor, the data whisperer, joining us here today. Excellent. Good to see you here, Scott. Without any further ado, let's bring Joe on.
Well, there's one ado.
Okay.
I made another montage.
Oh, let's see it.
There isn't as much content for this one, but here we go.
Or are now just clickbait mugshots on the CNN webpage.
If you click on clickbait,
claims he can guarantee you a story worthy of a dozen clickbait headlines.
He also owns a 34-foot boat called Clickbait because of course he does. Sometimes wildly distorted clickbait.
The Clickbait podcast.
It's just clickbait, gussied up as some
goals that are clickbait. But for me, it is mostly clickbait for no money.
There you go.
I think that last one describes it well. Mostly clickbait for no money.
For no money. That's been my experience personally. All right, let's bring Joe on and kick things off. Joe, welcome back to the show.
I had to change my title real quick.
There you go. Clickbaiting for no money.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have you here, man. How you been?
Satisfactory. If I were to give myself a CSAT score, probably 3.5 or an MPS score, probably around there. Just been bogged down with a lot of work right now, and So, but it's been fun. I should.
It seems like you are every time I talk to you, you're like in a different time zone. How do you do it, man?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's one of those things where you have piles of jet lag on top of other jet lag, so I suppose you just deal with it. But yeah, I can't say it's easy. So I'm just back in Salt Lake City now. A couple of weeks ago I was in France and Netherlands, but now I'm back for a bit, so it's nice. I'm very burned out on international travel.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I don't blame you on that one. So we wanted to bring you on today, I think, to talk about the scene and data clickbait. Where does it come from? What is really going on behind the scenes with all these posts you see on LinkedIn and that sort of thing? Yeah. Does it work? That's a valid question. But
last Clickbait Bros show of 2024.
Absolutely. That's why we gave this episode an extremely clickbait title. Join us for the end of Super Data Brothers, and then in parentheses until next year. So it's good to have you on, man. So let's kick it off. Like clickbait in data. What is the source of all the clickbait that we see on LinkedIn and in other places?
The source. Well, obviously, it's a conspiracy.
Yes.
Driven by the Illuminati or some organization. No, I think it's more of the broader social media landscape where I think everyone just wants to get attention, for whatever reason. I guess ourselves included. So
yeah.
Sometimes content's useful. Sometimes it's meant to be reactionary. And so I think, one thing I'd probably dive into is, whether or not the content is from a place, I guess, from a perspective where the person knows what they're talking about, or if it's simply people just being good at social media. I'll give you an example. Actually, I was listening to a good soundbite on Instagram this morning from a old school techno DJ, Dave Clark, and he was raving about how well, he's just talking about how there's a lot of really crappy DJs out there right now, but they're really good at social media, so they're able to get a presence. But his feeling is that quality DJs will be back soon because so and I feel the same way about content, where I think that a lot of I try and consume a lot of content on LinkedIn and other places where it's it's from people that know what they're talking about and from a place of competency. But I think in this day and age, it's really easy to game it and get into what that means. So
yeah. We have a Scott Taylor asks us, please define clickbait in data. Like, can you give an example of some data clickbait maybe that you've noticed recently?
I mean, the types of stuff that I think that what do you guys think clickbait is? Let's just maybe talk about that and dive into it. So I'll reverse the question and try and postpone me answering a question.
Yeah. I mean, I think like I would define it as I mean, that's a tough question.
I'd call it like provocative titles that don't deliver on substance. Right.
I think it's a good way. I think it's a good way. So BuzzFeed was a classic example of early clickbait where, the top 10 things you need to know to get awesome abs or something stupid. Or you won't believe what happened next. I think that was a classic clickbaity thing from the last decade. With data content, it's an interesting one. I think that if we look at a lot of the AI content, I'm putting this in quotation marks. I think a lot of it's. Can I swear on your show?
Yeah, go for it.
I think a lot of it's bullshit, right? So that's not really a cuss word. That's just it's a PG-13 cuss word,
right?
But there's a lot of bullshit being spread right now by people who I know for a fact have very little experience in AI, very little experience with tech. I mean, I think some of these people can barely turn on the phone in the morning, but here they are making grand pronouncements about this or that with AI, and I think it's and it was data before and yada yada yada, but I think it's it's it when you see it. It's disingenuous content, but it's the clicks, right? The person might be attractive, the person might have an impressive title at their job or whatever they do, and so it perpetuates a cycle where others see the reactions to this type of content, and then they're like, well, I guess I need to do this as well. And so, what it starts perpetuating is a sea of sameness and a sea of really just low grade bullshit content that doesn't deliver on substance. And I think more, like I said, perpetuates itself because people like the dopamine effect of getting clicks, of getting reactions, of getting comments. I think all of us do. Yeah. I mean, I just sit in the corner in a dark room if I'm not getting reactions to my posts, and it's dark days. You're offended by my language? Well, it's fine.
This is Colleen Tarto, by the way.
She's offended by everything I do. So. I'm offended by her too, and Andy Mott, who's also commenting in here.
We got Andy saying clickbait is Joe doing a gym workout, and when you click the link, he tells you some nonsense about data.
It happens all the time. Doing burpees, and then I'm just like, just top things you need to know about Excel.
Yeah, the burpees of quality of data quality.
I mean, I've definitely noticed a shift, at least when it comes to LinkedIn, where it seems lately high quality or well thought out content is not getting the kind of traction it may have a year and a half ago in exchange for, more clickbaity content, like very simple job tips or like pictures of beautiful people in beautiful places,
or kind of lifestyle
stuff has gotten really big on LinkedIn.
I mean, to be fair, most of my posts are more like Instagram. It's just me like hanging out with I don't know, my dog or something and being like, you got this or something stupid. But you're right. I mean, a lot of pithy stuff, and then or some video of some robot doing something, and people are like, AI is so amazing. Like, I guess I don't know. So I don't know.
I mean, I often look at. I think everybody thinks this, maybe, but I think everybody thinks they can identify the AI content. And I often will look at, I'll see certain influencers where I'm like, not only am I sure that AI wrote this, but I'm also sure that the top 5 responses were also written by AI. And it was probably AIs that clicked the like buttons to make those the top 5 responses is how it feels sometimes.
Oh yeah, there was one person on my feed. I won't name names because I'm a gentleman, but
The Buddha? No.
no, it was somebody else. But I would notice that there was a this person posted like a reply to my post, and then within seconds, a bot would post something very similar. In this case, it was a third-party account, and so it was interesting. And by AI content, I mean also just people talking about AI, right?
Yeah.
Like showing some Boston Dynamics robot and saying the future is amazing and AI is great. And it's like you didn't really say anything in this post at all. It's kind of shit, actually. So, but then you couple that with AI generated content, which LinkedIn, with their top voice stuff we can get into that stuff too. So there was kind of 2 tiers of the top voice. There was the gold star you would get if you contributed to these AI generated questions, and you could answer them. I refuse to do it because I know exactly what they're doing. I don't want to play this game. You do all the work and then they take all your data and suck it in. And then the other ones, the top voice, which is the blue star, which I have no idea how that even happens. They have a data engineering top voice. I don't know how I'm not on that, but whatever. I'm not. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But I think it just goes to show like how strange everything is. But whatever.
It is very, very strange.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, in data engineering, it's hard to say anyone other than like you are the top voice. Like you and Matt wrote the book.
Well,
exactly.
Some bot just picked whoever answered the most questions.
I think it's what it is. Like I don't post a lot of data engineering content on LinkedIn.
Right.
It's mostly just me and my dog or my friends, right? So I could probably see from that, but it just goes to show, right? It's just like, what are you, it's about like, what are you contributing to the online discussion and so forth. But yeah, it's interesting. We can get into all kinds of other things. I don't think we even touched the seedy underbelly of
oh no, that's coming. Yeah, that's coming.
But
I do want to read a couple comments. So we have a very lively discussion in the chat. Just a quick reminder, if this is your first time here, this is a live show. It is interactive. We read your comments and we respond to them. So we got John G. Swift. When we were talking about what is clickbait, he says it's the opposite of journalistic structure. You save the most important information until the end. That's an interesting way to frame it and compare it to like traditional content, which is, the first paragraph should have the most important stuff. But it's mostly stuff like, I mean, the way you get the attention, right? You start with a sentence at the top and then hit return a couple times or a bunch of times, and it's below the fold. So you have to click through and that's, so it could be like, I think the worst one I saw recently was that guy, was Ethan Evans. This was several months ago, and I'm naming names now, but I think this post was just so gross. Where he's talking about how the CEO at one of his startups slept with his wife, right? Yeah.
What?
Like, yeah, dude. On
LinkedIn?
On LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I was like, what is
was he tying it to business sales?
What?
Like what?
I mean, he was saying, well, you don't want to be, you don't want to be like this person. You don't want to be the snake reacting to things. And I was like, no, dude, you're trying to sell your Maven course is what you're trying to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so gross and gratuitous. And it's just stuff like that. I was like, I just need to leave LinkedIn entirely. It's incredible. But people do that kind of stuff, other people post their salaries and, and get a big reaction out of it and get a lot of followers. And, and that's kind of how it is. I mean, I don't do that stuff because one, I don't really care. Two, I just think it's, a lot of it's just bullshit. But, you see posts like that and you're just like, okay, great. Have fun selling your course. Just things like that, right? It's just, it's low information stuff. It shouldn't be information at all, in my opinion. Talking about how your CEO hooked up with your wife, I think is something that, thanks for telling the world. That's great.
Right.
Now we all know this. I didn't really need to know this. I don't think anyone cared, but here we are. So, but it sticks with you, right? Because it's like this post gets a lot of reactions. It also gets you on LinkedIn Lunatics on Reddit, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But I have friends, if they're not, who say if they're not on LinkedIn Lunatics at least, every couple of weeks, they're probably doing something wrong.
They're not hustling right.
Yeah, hustling.
It really is a weird game, man. And the path it's taken on LinkedIn, in particular, as LinkedIn, the line between LinkedIn and the other social networks seems to be blurring to me, as they're prioritizing short form video content, and as LinkedIn was probably the last one where it reached the point where people could make a living just as LinkedIn people. But I think we're at that point, and all the incentives that you see on TikTok and Instagram and all the other social networks. I don't even like this term social network. I don't even think that's what these things are anymore. They're like algorithmic content mills. I mean, the social networking, LinkedIn still has that, but the other ones I feel like don't even have it.
Yeah, you're not really interacting with your social network, just a broader web.
I mean, Scott Taylor called it out too in one of the comments. It's all about link talk videos. I think that's absolutely correct. Yeah, it's I mean, because LinkedIn's making changes to their app, and so it's going to be a lot more TikTok-y going forward. Right. But I think I don't know. We'll see how that goes, because they had stories. They try and emulate other parts of social media, but at the end of the day, and in fact, it's interesting. The Wall Street Journal had an article, I think it was Wall Street Journal, where they talk about how teenagers are actually on LinkedIn because it's a less toxic place than other social networks like Facebook.
That's wild.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting. My kid actually, he takes after his dad. He actually has a LinkedIn account. He goes on there and trolls people. I think he trolled a Chris Tab. This is Chris Tab's mug, by the way, that my son made.
That's beautiful.
But I think he wrote on Chris's comment on Chris's post, like, "You're bald."
Thanks, Sonny.
Okay. I was like, okay, Milo, who's my son. I'm like, it's funny. It's funny as hell, but you gotta not do this.
That is, I mean, in a way, it's heartwarming to see the youth embracing the original purpose of the internet, which was to troll people. We do have a comment here from Aaron Wilkerson. The drones are to blame for the clickbait, and I think they might be onto something here, Aaron. You know what? Let's get a team of data scientists and see if we can correlate the drone presence with the amount of clickbait.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the drone stuff's interesting. Like, how often are you guys hitting refresh or trying to figure out what the hell these things are?
I'm hooked on it. I'm not gonna lie.
Too. I honestly haven't been paying any attention. I've been disappointed by this could be aliens so many times. I just don't even pay attention anymore.
The drone thing is bizarre. It's bizarre.
There's just a bunch of drones over a city.
Yeah.
Or something?
Well, I mean, it's going to turn into drone show.
This is clickbait now. This is clickbait.
Yeah. We'll change the title of the live stream to like world's top data engineer analyzes drone phenomenon.
From stuff I read on like social media. Yeah. No, it is interesting. But we click on it, right? And I guess it captures our attention, and then you go down the rabbit hole of what could it be? The government's not saying anything about this, so it must be something.
I read someone made the point, and I think this is true. Like, we live in an era where we're so used to having almost immediate answers to things that's what makes this drone story so intriguing. Is because pretty much every source of that you go to is we have no idea, right? And it's been we have no idea now for almost a month. And it's just so unusual in 2024 for something to be in that state of mystery for this amount of time.
It's got to be some government shit going on. It's always.
I mean, I don't know, man.
It's got to be,
man.
Bizarre. Clearly, you've looked into this more than I have. So.
I've spent way too much time
out there. I have too. Yeah, I think that one of the I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff out there. It could be might be the Chinese, might be somebody, might be I mean, there's rumors are looking for a nuke. Which if you're in the New York area, that would really suck. But anyway, that's what happens. And it's but it's interesting if you're not telling the public what it is, and people start coming up with their own ideas, because that's because your tendency is to fill in the gaps, right? And so that's just human nature. If we're having a conversation, or if we're used to calling each other and I don't talk to you for a bit, right? You can start filling in the gaps. Like, why is Joe ghosting me all of a sudden? And then you're like, oh, he must hate me. Like, yeah, actually I do, a lot, and I'm not going to tell you why, but so that kind of stuff happens. But anyway,
Yeah. Jason Taylor here says he lives in and around NYC, and it's wild. Yeah. If you have any drone, if anybody in the audience right now has any close encounters with drones, feel free to share your story in the chat. Joe and I are way into it.
Yeah, we're way into it. Eric, he's just like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
We talk about something else. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was one other comment in here. So this term, I think this was the term of the year. Jason also says he brings up, this term in shitification.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is something I really feel this in my life now. Like I just feel like it's I don't know if it's just the vibe of the era, but like all the services I consume feel worse than they used to be. The products I buy feel cheap. I just got something. I'm going to go on. This is an old man rant. I just got something from IKEA. I've been buying IKEA stuff.
Oh, it's your first mistake.
Yeah.
It is so horrible now. It's unbelievable.
This my favorite pizza place closed yesterday. Not even
tragic.
My favorite pizza place that was
dude.
It was like maybe like a 6-minute walk from my house. Closed 2 days ago because of a dispute with the landlord. Talk about enshittification in my local area.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
It's bad.
But I do want to the new post of drones the other day. 3 stars so this is a good point. Like Robert
that's just what they want you to believe, man. Like, that's just throwing you off.
Yeah, I saw another one where it was like the Reddit investigators dug in and someone went to the location, took a picture. It was like some visibility thing hanging off of like a electricity wire, a power line.
That's the thing, right? The some amount of this is definitely like people just are not aware of what's in this. They just don't look up. And so now they are looking up and they're seeing stuff and saying, whoa, like, look at those 3 lights in this weird formation. And it's just Orion's.
Yeah, it's called a jet.
Right. There was a thing
just far away.
Yeah. But something weird's going on, dude, Eric. I'm telling you, man. Something weird's going on.
We have over the Air Force Base. We've been having drones flying over the Air Force Base here.
Yeah. Right.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like they closed Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, the airspace above it due to drone incursions. Yeah. And that's serious.
Yeah, one would think, right? I mean, my tendency is just go take my rifle and just go shoot it. But what do I know?
Right.
I mean, I could do that right now. I have a nice rifle, but I'm a gentleman. I won't do such a thing. I'll let the people with the firepower take care of it, which they aren't doing. So
that's the weird thing. That's the weird thing.
No one shot one of these down?
No. That's the weird thing. All right, but we have to wrap up like drone talk at some point. But I do want to read this, and then we'll move on from the drones. Okay. Ramona says, "Why look up when you're looking down at your phone 24/7?" And the reason you're looking at your phone 24/7 is because you're hooked on the data clickbait on LinkedIn.
Well, yeah, exactly. Everyone's on LinkedIn. Okay, so when I travel the world, I think the universal posture I tell people is this now, where it's just this. This is sort of how people are going to evolve over the next several centuries. It's like you're going to be hunched over staring at something. I remember I was in the middle of Cambodia, like rural Cambodia, and there was people just staring at the phones. Andy Mott's got a hilarious one. I can see why this is the end of the data discussion going on here. I mean, you get what you pay for, Andy.
That's right.
Fine. Let's talk about data. Let's talk about grifting and all that stuff.
Yeah. So why don't you and you can see you can disclose as much or as little as you want here. I have a little window into this world. I suspect yours is much bigger, but like the data grift and the data hustle, right? How does this game work? Everybody's not posting content on LinkedIn just because they love it. Right? People are getting paid.
Yeah. What's
getting paid? So I'll kind of walk you through my experience with this. So first off, I do once in a while promote people's stuff. It's more because I'm friends with people. I'll put, if a friend of mine has a course coming out, I'll happily help promote their stuff because I'm friends with them. Right. Or if I'm, working with a company, we're doing an event, maybe that's one avenue in which I may get paid, right? But I'm not making a post to get paid. I'm more promoting something where I'll be at, and I'm super picky about who I work with. So I tend to work with companies whose products I've used and whose products I believe in, and the people that I like, right? And it's pretty simple like that. And I also have a condition where if I show up to an event, I'm not there to promote their product. I'm there to, make an appearance, right? If I give a talk, it's about stuff that I'm interested in. So you get to use my name to bring people out, right? So I think but I keep it to events because I feel like that's at least isolates the footprint of kind of what I'm doing. Or, if we work on an article or something like that, sure. But I think it's like, there has to be some sort of mutual collaboration. And I think this is different from shilling, right? Where you're just sort of endlessly taking on whatever company, whatever this or that. So it's, I think that's a big differentiator. So what commonly happens with the LinkedIn quote influencer game, I'm talking paid influencer stuff, is companies will reach out to people who have a big reach, right? Might hit their market or whatever. A lot of these people are my friends, so I'm only going to tell you, my perspective on it. And this isn't to disparage my friends, but what happens is, you might sign up, you might engage with like a vendor for say X number of posts about an upcoming thing. I think I did one of them and I just felt gross, so I just stopped doing it. It's like because my impression of this is if I were to do this all the time, right? What level of credibility do I have with my posts if I'm promoting every single company under the sun? And it's this product's awesome. You should use this one. And this is then my feed becomes basically like a NASCAR, with all the logos on it, and I think people can see right through that. And so for me, I'm very careful about how I engage with companies. It's not to say that I don't. I mean, there's companies I'm really happy to work with, but I do it in a way where I feel like it fits my brand as well, right? Where my brand is a bit it's a bit more serious, but it's also kind of a brand of I think the brand is no bullshit, and I don't want to be seen as being promiscuously selling and promoting every single product under the sun. Because I think once you get past that point, people stop trusting you, and when they stop trusting you, it's incredibly it's incredibly hard to get back if you can. And so I think it's a route that I just didn't really ever want to go down. Whereas I've seen this happen to some friends already, right? They're influencers, quote unquote, doing paid posts for everybody under the sun, and now their credibility, if you're to talk to people in the industry, these people's credibility has been diminished, and I think that sucks because it's a classic thing that Warren Buffett said, where it takes a lifetime to build a reputation and minutes to destroy it. And I feel like this is, at least in my opinion, a route that I just don't want to go. I'll destroy my reputation in other ways. So,
right,
but,
yeah. If you're going to do it, there are more fun ways to do it than by posting shill LinkedIn posts, right?
Yeah, but it's easy money, right? I mean, so if you figure, one stat I've heard is it's, maybe if you have a follower count of say 100,000, maybe it's 10% of that. Not 10%, probably 1% to 5%. That's how much you get paid, right? So you're talking actually pretty good money for posts. So I mean, I know friends that are making six figures, or more. I wouldn't say or more, but up to six figures just off of social media posts, right? Which is tempting. Right. I mean, I could make a lot of money doing social media posts all day, but the problem is it's gonna wind down once your audience stops reacting to your posts, and once they stop responding to you, because all you are is just. It's no different than if you had a friend who joined an MLM, a multi-level marketing, and just tried to sell you whatever stupid stuff they have. So, oils or I don't even know. I live in Utah, which is like the MLM capital of the world. I have no idea what people are even selling these days because they don't care. But it's like that. We're now all of a sudden, I'm sure you've had friends like this. They join an MLM and all of a sudden they're trying to sell you shit. Like, can you just please shut up for once? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really
getting messages from people you knew in high school. Yeah, I've
That was yes. I had a good friend in high school who immediately after high school got into some subsidiary of Amway, and and just started going hard at me. Like, and it's like, dude, I'm 19. Like, I don't need to stock up on like toiletries and like, well, what do you think I'm going to buy? Like $100 worth of hand soap? What's going on?
But they'll gaslight you and they'll say, well, Ryan, you're going to stay poor your whole life.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity for you to really take charge of your future with Amway.
Uh-huh.
Just sign this and give it back to me tomorrow. Thank you.
It was gross. It was gross. And it did, like, to your point, it inserted this, like, suddenly our friendship became distasteful.
Yeah. Do you still talk to that person?
No.
No, of course not. I wouldn't either. I'd be like, go take off on a drone. Have a good day.
Exactly.
Or go get hit by a drone. I don't really care which one. To bring it back to the posts, right? Like, this is one avenue on LinkedIn, at least, where people are, there's an incentive structure to, to post, right? I mean, if you looked at my inbox, you would see, I mean, there's not a day that goes by there's not vendors hitting me up for this, that, or the other thing. I tend to just ignore them. I'm like, I don't have time. This doesn't fit my brand. The other one I hate is people are like, hey, can you check out our product and give us feedback? I'm like, no, don't care at all. The thing I value the most is my time right now. And so the influencer game is interesting. So that's definitely one aspect of it. And that's pervasive, right? I'm sure you see the posts like this all the time. Yeah. But there's a lot of money in it. And I think, given sort of the advertising is not as effective anymore, right? And LinkedIn ads, if you look at the cost per thousand on a LinkedIn ad, it's pretty expensive. You can target your reach and whatnot, but if you can do that versus, work with influencers, right? I mean, a lot of companies are doing this, but I think what you're going to see is an oversaturation. I mean, you're already seeing it. And so, I consciously made the decision just to stay out of it entirely because it doesn't fit what I'm about, right? I felt gross doing it. It just like a part of me. Yeah. I just like, this is like the only one I'm doing. I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I mean, we've definitely, I work for a vendor and it's true. Like the routes to market, it's just very hard now. A lot of things that we used to do, advertising is much harder. In-person events have come back sort of, but like the big ones have, right? But I would say, like, at least in my experience, there were a lot of smaller events that happened in different cities. People just don't want to go to a vendor event is a big part of it, right?
That's a big one.
They're happy to go to a community event, but like, if I were to go back 10 years, we would have events in cities all the time, and people would show up, right? Like vendor-sponsored, vendor-focused events. And they don't do that anymore. They want to go to a community thing, but they don't want to go to a vendor thing. And so the question is like, how do we get in front of our audience? And right now, a very popular option is, let's go to certain LinkedIn personalities who we know, have the numbers and at least can get a post seen.
That's the game, right? Because if you're a vendor, and I mean, if you look at Matt Turk's Mad Data Landscape, you can see how many vendors there are. There's,
oh my God,
trillions of vendors out there. I mean, you might mistake them for drones over New Jersey. I don't know. But there's so many vendors out there. And the biggest thing that I always tell friends, whether you're a vendor, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're just a person, really is like, your biggest obstacle is obscurity, right? And so distribution is a big thing for vendors where, great, I have a great product. That's table stakes. But then you realize, okay, how am I going to get our name out there? Right. And that's where it starts falling apart. And so if you haven't built the audience early about who you are and what you're about, now you have to go take paths like talking to influencers, right? Or going to conferences and paying the conference tax, right? Conferences are hellishly expensive to display at. So expensive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And there's no guarantee that, the ROI, I think, on most booths is not there.
It's not good.
What I talk to.
No. Try sponsoring a Gartner conference sometime. That you'll be shocked at the bill you'll get from that. Jason Taylor has a question, and I think I would split this into two parts maybe, but is there moral hazard from being associated with influencers in the business realm? And I think for that, this like as an individual, but also maybe as a vendor, do you think there's any moral hazard?
Moral hazard is an interesting one. I always thought of it in the context of bailing out banks and stuff where you incentivize bad behavior. I mean, it is what it is at this point, right? I mean, it's either going to have the DevRel or the the evangelists at the company doing this kind of stuff, right? Or you have to get a third party with reach to do it. Maybe this is the same person. But I don't know, moral hazard. I think we crossed that bridge already. I mean, if every kid aspires to be Jake Paul or Mr. Beast at this point, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I remember, I'll never forget. It was my youngest kid, Ethan, at the time. He must have been 4 or 5, but he took my phone and he would just record merch videos. Like, yo, I'm dropping some new merch. Check it out. And he would actually go buy merch. I'm not kidding you. And like t-shirts and hawk them. I mean, he's savvy. The kid's going to be, he's going to be really rich someday, but he's got the hustle. But he, early on, he's just like, so I always joke like YouTube and being an influencer, sort of the new lemonade stand for children.
Yeah.
So I think we crossed that bridge, unfortunately. But in the business realm, I think influencers are going to gain more traction than ever because that's where it's all going. Advertising dollars, like you said, ads aren't effective anymore. Nobody cares, right? And what are you gonna do? Make a white paper about your product and put that on your website and click, give us your email for a download? Everyone else is doing that, right? I think the future of marketing, it's video, short form video, kind of what Marcus Brownlee's doing as well, but just stuff where it's like it's good content out there, right? Written stuff. But but increasingly, I think you're going to be relying on a nexus of quote influencers to help get your name out. But for people like myself, it's a matter of like, okay, so how do I want to, I have a platform, I can monetize it anytime. I'm choosing to do it a different way, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I mean, for Monday Morning Data Chat, I can't even tell you how many vendors we could have made so much money off that show.
I have no doubt that you could have.
We could have, but the thing is, like, reputationally, what's it going to do to Matt and me if we're taking money from everybody out there? It dilutes our messaging, and pretty soon, we just didn't want to deal with it. I think the show had power because we didn't take money, right? There was nobody. We weren't accountable to anybody. There's power in that.
Yeah, there really was. I mean, I think like the fact that it's not that you guys never had a vendor on, but it was like you would have someone on from a vendor because they had something interesting to say or you wanted to talk to them, as opposed to they cut you a check.
Yeah,
and that's a huge difference. So a couple comments here. So Jen Jordan says, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, and if you'll sell anything, your community will know you stand for nothing.
Oh yeah, that's just it, right? I mean, that's just the fact of life, right? My reputation is worth more than some stupid posts.
Exactly. Right? And then Bill, so I think this is a question for you. If you fell in love with a data product and you knew you were going to post about it, raving positively, would you be tempted to use an affiliate link or something, knowing some readers will want to check it out? Or is this an example of losing trust that you're talking about?
I don't have a problem with affiliate links. I think as long as you're transparent about it, and and why you like the product and so forth, I don't see a problem with it. I think that's perfectly fine. I think the difference comes down to really if you have no exposure to the product and you haven't used it. This actually goes against Federal Trade Commission rules, by the way, where you have to have used the product and have experience with it. You can't just go blindly shill anything under the sun. That's actually illegal.
Really?
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah. So there's that, but it's also like, I would say I'd be very conscious about it though. I mean, I'm always transparent with my audience. Like if I'm, if I'm going to monetize something, I'm like, this is why I'm doing it. It's affiliate link, I mean, at the end of the day, I got to pay my bills too. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, Joe's got to eat. But at the same time, it's, I think I'm just a lot more transparent with my audience, where, others might not be. Right. And so I think that's a big difference. But again, if it's a product that I love, and I'm happy to, endorse it, sure. But I'd probably, if it's a product I love, I mean, given my situation, I could probably just go talk to the company and figure something out.
Right.
too, right? And I've done that with a few companies where, like I said, it's, we do events and stuff like that. And I think that fits my profile because I'm podcasting a lot and you kind of want the personality on your show or whatever. But, but you gotta balance it though, right? I don't just gratuitously do this for everybody because I figured out ways to monetize, in other ways too. So, but to each their own, if you want to have an affiliate link of just every single thing in the world, then go for it. I mean,
yeah. Which reminds me, folks, get Joe's book on Amazon. Link in the description. You can
affiliate link.
Of it.
Hey, we made didn't we make like $20 from Amazon affiliate?
We
links
did do an
exactly. Go for it.
We did do an affiliate link for
like the data cards.
Where are those? They were sitting on my desk. For like this data storytelling card deck that we kind of did
it's cool.
We did like an unboxing as if we were unboxing a Magic card set, except it was we did an affiliate link for that. And I think we've made $30 over the course of 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, unboxing is an interesting one, right? Like I've been toying with the idea of doing unboxing videos for vendors where at least there's a clear exchange of value here. Right? I'll review your product. You pay me for my time and production costs and whatever else I need. I think it's a fair trade. I'm not here to give you a positive review if that's what you're looking for, right? But that's perfectly within the realm of something you might see from me next year. I mean, I'm looking at the books I have on my desk. I don't have my book. I have the complete short stories of Mark Twain.
There you go.
It's not what you're looking for.
Shilling the Library of Congress with that one.
It's a great book, Mark Twain. Get it. Use code Joe Twain for 50% off.
I have the Chronicles of Conan Volume 2 here, the 70s Marvel comic. Also available, Amazon affiliate link.
That's like softcore almost.
Well, that's why
I only have an Xbox controller in reach. I guess I'm not as enlightened as everyone else on this.
Oh, that's hilarious. Trying to think of another junk we have laying around. Old records. Anyway. But I think, I don't have a problem with people monetizing, right? I think that's... But I'm friends with a lot of people. Everyone monetizes their own way. I got one friend who she'll make posts, and I think she just spends it on getting her nails done. Pretty expensive nails. Yeah, and I'm like, you do you, right? But I think that it is one of those things where I think you just need to understand what's the impact to your reputation if you're going to go down this route.
Yeah.
That's all, right?
It's almost like a candle, right? At some point, it's going to burn down, and then there's nothing left. I do want to highlight this comment. So this is a question. Excuse me. How do you counter clickbait education on LinkedIn? Meaning all the people promising they can get you a great career, but skipping fundamentals seems to be really trending these days.
I mean, I think I'm doing that by just focusing on fundamentals, but I would say I've been successful at that so far. But these things appeal to a basic human tendency of taking the shortcut. Right. It reminds me of the old Something About Mary scene where Ben Stiller gets picked up by the hitchhiker, or he's hitchhiking. He's picked up by a guy, and they start talking about 7-minute abs, and the guy's like, "I got the business idea, 6-minute abs."
Right.
It's just, why would you want 7 when you can do 6 or whatever it was, right? And I think that's the notion of people want the shortcuts, right? I mean, if especially right now, the job market's competitive. You want a job, right? University of Phoenix and all these other scummy schools did the same thing.
Yeah,
promising you a great degree and a job and whatever. Even the job placement numbers were horrifically low, and they scammed a bunch of people out of the money.
Oh yeah, I know people who got scammed by it.
Oh damn, it sucks.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're not working at that pizza place that got closed down.
No, they're doing all right now.
Okay, good.
This was back in the day.
Back in the day, right? But even the same thing. You see this in data right now. There's a lot of education. Clickbait out there, right? And I'm going to be doing a lot of education. I mean, I do already, but I'm not making any grand promises like you're going to get a career after this or whatever. I'm like, here's skills you need to learn, right? End of story. Learn them if you want. Pay me money, right. And that's a pretty simple transaction. But I think when you start equating this with promises of jobs and whatever, now you're setting expectations and screwing people over with their livelihoods. And I don't believe in that. I think that's extremely unethical.
Yeah. And it kind of leads a little bit to this question from John Swift. So what do you see as the future of advertising and getting your name out there, if not clickbaiting everyone? And I think maybe the future is clickbaiting everyone, but let's see what you have to say.
Actually, it was interesting. I was going to make a comment about this the other day where I was looking at my inbox. And I think every email was a Substack that I subscribed to.
That's wild.
Yeah, I was like, this is the future. Actually, I think it's people are going to take content creation into their own hands, and be their own platform.
And I think that's kind of to talk a little bit about your experience with it. And this really is based off of Michael Dunphy's question here. So what's your advice for growing a following and an audience to help with career advancement and networking?
I mean, it's say interesting stuff, have interesting takes on things, provide value to people with your content. And I think most important, have a personality, right? What I often see is people try and imitate other quote influencers, and it's all this same stuff, right? Flash clips and here's how awesome my life is, and so forth. And there's a really good one, Influencers in the Wild, a really good Instagram you should follow. It's so crazy. I would say don't do that stuff. But I think the world always appreciates people who are authentic and people who are real and people who have like well-founded opinions and ideas, people who have done stuff, right, and want to talk about it. I think that if you can start there, people resonate with what you're doing, then yeah, you'll build an audience. But I'd say, I wrote about this the other day, actually at my Substack, joereis@substack.com, about building a brand. I'd say just go read that. It'll tell you everything you need to know and get you a great job as well. So and it's drawn to, and Marwan has a good question. Define interesting. Interesting is in the eye of the beholder. Interesting means stuff that somebody wants to give their attention to, right? So right now, the name of the game, and I think this all comes back to the influencer thing, and attention is it's scarce, right? Everyone's stuck on their phone doing this. This was me the rest of the show, just staring at my phone. But that's the reality of it, right? And so you got to have something that's worth people's attention. To me, that's what interesting means. So, and there's and I think there's some good companies out there that are doing really good work with their social media. ClickUp is one of them, right? So these guys, you watch their stuff. I mean, the HR guys who are just over the top, like hilarious stuff. I watch it, right? But whoever thought of that was just pretty genius, right? Another master of social media is who's it? Craig Jones. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. And I would say follow him if you wanted just a person who's like real, hilarious, totally immature, but is basically like owns the jiu-jitsu world at this point, I think, with his social media. So what he did was interesting. So there was an event called the ADCC, Abu Dhabi's jiu-jitsu tournament, world renowned for the Olympics of jiu-jitsu. Craig Jones comes in, but the thing is, these people, you got $10,000 for getting first place. Jiu-jitsu athletes, it's hard work, right? And what he did was he's like, fine, I'm going to pay each athlete at the Craig Jones Invitational $10,001 to show up, and first place gets $1 million, winner take all. He did it the same day as ADCC. And then pretty much after that, the guy who was organizing ADCC loses his job. That's, to me, that's a power that illustrates the power of a brand and having a platform, is you can do stuff like that. You wouldn't have had the ability to do stuff like that, 20 years ago. Right now, it's like one dude with an Instagram account can do stuff like that. Like this to me is the future, where individuals have a lot of power over companies.
I mean, well, like we said earlier, companies really struggle to get their message out there, but individuals who get good at this do not.
Yep.
That's a key difference. Aaron has a point here. The problem is people trying to withdraw something from the community more than they deposited. Give value before you ask for anything. I think it's just generally good advice in life.
For sure.
It's like, be mindful of what you're putting in, not just what you're taking out.
I mean, I got some influencer friends out there, and I'm not going to name names, but it's all about them, right? Like if you look at their posts, it's like, here's how awesome I am. Here's how much money I made. Here's this, that, or the other thing. And it's like, nobody cares, right? And if people keep seeing it's all about you and all about the courses that they buy from you and how much money you're making off them. To me, I would never do that. That's just tasteless. Like, why would you go and flaunt, you all paid me a bunch of money. So here's all the cool stuff I buy. It's like, but this happens, dude. It happens. These are my friends, and if they want to do it, go for it. But to me, that becomes very transactional with the community. I always feel like pay it forward with the community, and then things will hopefully come back in your favor. But to me, it's more about like give than take. It always has been. I'm going to go to my meetup tonight, data engineering meetup. I helped start, I don't know, a long time ago. Let's make an appearance there. Why? Because I'm interested to see how the meetup's doing. I have no agenda. So
right.
I have nothing to sell except Amway.
Eric and I
That's
had
actually
an
why I'm
idea.
going.
Eric and I had an idea one time to start a beef jerky based MLM, called where it would be focused on beef jerky, and you would get other people in to you'd have jerky parties,
It actually probably do really well.
Beef jerky's really good, man.
It is really
people
good.
love
Everyone
beef
have
jerky.
bad breath, but it would be, a
Yeah.
great event.
Sell special floss.
And then Jason says, this type of influencer behavior has been glamorized and normalized by the other social media platforms.
It has been.
and
Like, look how
that's very
successful
true.
I am. Yeah, and I think then it's gross. I mean, I think maybe it's just because I'm older, but like if I saw my kid doing that, I'd be like, could you just please not do that? It's tasteless. But it has been because and it's always been about look what I have achieved. Look at me standing in front of this private jet that I just happened to sneak in front of and take a picture of real quick before I get kicked off.
Right.
But that's the thing, and I think that this is when I say a sea of sameness. This is the influencer content out there that everyone tries to emulate because they see other influencers doing it. That therefore, but a really good one that I like is this kid from Crippling Hot Sauce. I don't know if you follow them. This kid has cerebral palsy. He's in a wheelchair. I guess for his high school business project, whatever. Thought it'd be great to start a company called Crippling Hot Sauce. Kind of making fun of his disability, which I think is like awesome.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the teacher gave him failed his project, and then this kid goes ahead and starts a company, and he's wildly successful now. He's making millions, and I think it's cool, right? And he's not flaunting it. He's like, yeah, look at this gold-plated wheelchair I got now or something. But he's just he keeps it real, makes jokes, and but I think he's highlighting something in the in the cerebral palsy community and the disabled community where they do joke about their disabilities. Just, I mean, it's just it is what it is, and but he's managed to make a really good brand off of just having a condition that you'd think could go against him. He's like, no, I'm going to lean into this and get and I think that's awesome. I buy his stuff and I try and support him because I'm like, this kid's doing stuff. He's not sitting there wallowing in self-pity and letting people tell him what he can and cannot do. Right, and I think that's
awesome.
That's cool.
Now I'm Googling the hot sauce here.
Crippling Hot Sauce. It's awesome. It's good stuff too. But like,
yeah, you go to the website. It's like the first thing. It's a picture of him.
Yeah,
in the Crippling Hot Sauce T-shirt.
It's just funny, right? It's watch his feed too on Instagram or whatever. It's hilarious. The kid's got a good sense of humor. But like, to me, that's the power of this influencing done right.
This that the tagline, there's a picture of him on the website, and what it says next to it is, "It's not the hot sauce that put me in the wheelchair. It's the cerebral palsy."
Jeez. Just to clarify.
Yeah, no, I mean, like a good. I agree, 100%. Like, this is awesome. Good for this kid.
Yeah, he's killing it.
Here's a quote from Solomon Khan. I think that when you really believe in something, people can tell. Nobody complains that founders are influencers for their own products.
Solomon does this with his own stuff, right?
Yeah.
With his content and with his company, and I think it's awesome, right? I think you should be the spokesperson for your company. That's the other part of it. Like, why do you need a large PR firm or a group to do all your stuff? If you're a founder, I would say lean into yourself and be the brand. That's cool. And Solomon's doing a great job at that. I applaud him for it. And he took, he didn't have to do it. I mean, he had a nice cush job at a big company running data and stuff. And he could have just coasted on that for a long time, like a lot of people do. But dude, like, and he wrote his own app. He wrote everything from scratch. That's cool, right? I mean, I looked at it and it's like, who wrote this? Like, oh, I did. It's like, that's super cool. So and I like, and this is the kind of stuff I like seeing my friends getting out there and just building stuff, doing cool stuff. You guys are doing cool stuff too, and it's just, I think that's awesome. But you're all leaning into your own brands in your own way. You're not trying to be anything that you're not. That's cool.
So we have about 5 minutes left, folks. If you have questions for Joe, get them in. We'll ask them, as you can see. I did want to talk to you in the last 5 minutes a little bit about Joe Reis Inc. and where things are headed. So you've got your Substack. You're working on the data modeling book. I've seen some, cryptic posts about some new business ventures.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage all this and where are things headed for you in 2025?
I manage it because it doesn't feel like work, right? I just happen to work all the 24 hours of the day, but but that's what keeps me going. Is my mission is the biggest gap I see in the industry right now. One of the big challenges is knowledge gap, right? We have awesome tools. I think our ability to use these tools, it could be better, right? And I think a lot of this is educating people, closing the knowledge gap, and I think we're going to perform a lot better as practitioners, right? But it amazes me how many practitioners meet in tech and data and so forth don't even understand the basic fundamentals of their craft. It's crazy. Data modeling. There's a reason I'm writing a book on data modeling, because this is one of the root causes of a lot of the issues that I see with data. There's a lack of modeling and understanding how to do it. What Joe Reis Inc. turns into in 2025 and beyond, I think you might hear something at Day-to-Day Texas about that. Might be making a bit of a announcement about it. But I'd say if you kind of, drew a line from the stuff I've been working on, you could probably take a guess at what that would look like. But there's a lot more under the hood, right? There's actually, there's what you see that you can extrapolate. And I would say there's also a lot of stuff that you don't see, which I will unveil in due time. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking of Day-to-Day Texas, folks, Joe will be there. Eric and I will be there. And if you would also like to be there, you can register with code SuperDataBrothers, all one word, and get 20% off your registration. We plug this.
We don't get anything for it.
We get no. We're not getting paid for this.
This means you get a cheap ticket.
We just love the conference.
It's a great conference. It's one of the only conferences that I go to where for full disclosure, I don't charge a speaking fee just because I like being with my friends there, right? And I think that's like one of the only ones that we're, but I like it. I like it so much. It's more of a party that masquerades as a conference, and I'm excited to see you guys there. It's a great one. Austin, Texas. It's fun in January, I guess.
It's more fun than Detroit in January. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, I bet you guys are really excited to get out of there.
Yes,
but free alcohol. Yeah, that was the case last year. So at the end of the day, Matt Housley and I kind of do a closing session. So it kind of started out, we were going to do the closing keynote. Then Lynn Bender, the organizer of the conference, put an alcohol stand right outside of our, the open bar right outside of our talk. And I'm like, Matt, nobody's going to show up for our talk. They're all going to be drinking. And then but you know what drunk people like to do? They love to talk. So why don't we turn this into a reverse Q&A where we're going to actually ask the audience questions, and we're going to get them very liquored up, and let's see what happens. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine, like, the top people in the data industry all in a room, all drinking, all talking. Was it alcohol-fueled rage session? Yeah, kind of. Last year got a bit chaotic, but it was the first one we did. It was a Bill Inman and Jamak Dagani were sitting next to each other, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, that will never happen again.
Yeah, that was awesome. I highly recommend it. It's very eye-opening. And if you do follow LinkedIn data people, a lot of us are there. And like you said, all in that room with practitioners, and the conversation's very open and flowing, and critical when it needs to be, and congratulatory when it deserves to be. And it's really great. It's a great session. And you're right, having Bill and Jamak sitting next, like, for me personally, it was like, okay, this is like two of my people I look up to so much in data, and they're just like right next. It's almost like data rock stars, those two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And so it's a show up. It's fun. So Jason's out. See you in Texas. Yep. Bye.
Yeah.
But thanks for having me on. I think that the topic of clickbait's an interesting one, and hopefully I shed some light on sort of how people with platforms and quote influence work. I I personally don't think of myself as an influencer. I do hate that term. I won't punch you if you call me that, but I will glare at you. And then shake your hand, of course, because I'm a gentleman. But it's something that isn't often discussed, and I think it's one of these things where people sort of fill in the blanks on their own, like when they look at influencer content, which you can tell it is typically. It's one of those things where I, hopefully at least shed some light on it. If the audience feels I did not do a good job, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll think that we did a great job. At least I think exploring the edges. I don't think we even got into grifting and all the other fun stuff. But I would say that there's I will just close that, when you're looking at content, look at who's posting it. There are a lot of people out there posting stuff who I know for a fact haven't done much. They may have gotten to where they are because of being a smooth talker, because of doing this, that, or the other thing. But there's a lot of people in the industry who I would say are completely full of shit. They have impressive titles. They can talk a big game, but you dig under the hood, you ask around, and I'd say quite a few people, they're posers. So,
yes.
Yeah. And I say, you need to call that out, right? I mean, I think that because I see a lot of people idolating, and emulating to some degree too, some big names out there. And, and it's one of those things where, caveat emptor. So,
yeah. I mean, they, in a lot of cases, their skills were not data, right? It was, like you said, the ability to talk, build an audience, very skilled at that.
Yeah.
But the expertise when it comes down to it is not there.
Now, shit ton of snake oil salespeople out there.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they should just go sell Amway. They make more money. But,
yeah. Well, they would, right? They're really good at that.
I mean, honestly,
that's a crowded market. There's got to be a crowded market, though.
Yeah, but you gotta. Yeah. But yeah, I would say just, and it's only going to continue, right? Especially with AI. I mean, if you look at some of the people who are talking about AI, I mean, some of them used to be crypto bros, and now all of a sudden they're, super AI bros or whatever. So it's just, it's kind of how it is. But that's always been like that since the days of P.T. Barnum. And I mean, you can make a strong argument America was based on grifting. So
yes,
it's kind of the American way. But, but there is, I would say, just a lot of content out there that I just shake my head. I'm like, this person, they got to where they are because they can talk, not because they can do. So, but then they're telling people about doing and taking credit for everyone else's successes. So anyway, so there's a lot of grifting. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we can, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Man.
It's always good to have you. This is the final episode of season 2 of Super Data Brothers.
When's season 3 go?
What's that?
When season 3?
We'll start it in January.
Oh, okay.
So it's I mean, it's like we're just a holiday break,
Yeah.
Or maybe February. Well, I have a very busy January with travel.
The same way.
January or February. Yeah.
Plus the Lions playoffs are, very important that I devote full effort to cheering for the Lions. And so, but season 3 will start in January or February. And, if you're interested, as always, of course, you can come on the show. And,
I'd love to, man. I love talking to you guys.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I normally end the show by saying like, hey, where can people follow you? I think everybody knows where they can follow you, but
only
fans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to that. Joe's feet picks.
Yep.
Is there any particular thing, endeavor of yours you want to plug right now?
If you're interested in the data modeling book, go to practicaldatamodeling.substack.com. You can find early drafts of the book. I'm just finishing up this monstrous chapter on application data modeling. It's taking longer than I thought, but I think everything does. But this chapter in particular is just a beast. So, but I'm getting there so that you start seeing trickles as soon as maybe tomorrow, actually. So, yeah. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Joe.
Yeah, of course. See you guys.
Whoop. I got cut off his Merry Christmas there by removing him from the stage. All right, folks. Hey, if this is your first time here, thanks for coming. You can catch us most Thursdays. Usually we broadcast on Thursdays, but Joe, we had to do it Wednesday this week to accommodate Joe's schedule and the fact that I neglected to send him a calendar invite. So usually Thursdays at 12 p.m. Eastern time, you can join us here for the Super Data Brothers show. We will be back in January or early February with season 3 of the Super Data Brothers. But if you like this type of thing, this is how we do it. It's a live conversation. We get your feedback. We feed it. We ask your questions to the guest. And that's what it's all about here on the Super Data Brothers. As always, we will be at Day-to-Day Texas. I know we plugged it a lot, but I'll plug it one last time. If you want to meet Joe and us and many other top data people in person, Day-to-Day Texas is the place to do it. All right. Anything else before we let the people go, Eric?
You covered it.
All right. So, hey, until next year, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, everybody. We are the Super Data Brothers. Take care.
Thank you.